Good morning to everybody out there in YouTube land. Happy Wednesday to you. It's hump day. We're looking to make some money today over on PrizePicks. We're going to be taking a look at some player props on the PrizePicks board. We've got points, rebounds, assists, three-point makes, and some fantasy points to take a look at on today's PrizePicks board. I think we got about 9 NBA games tonight. So shout out to everybody who is joining me this morning. It's good to see the chat full of friendly faces. Good morning to you, Jen. Says good morning. Need some bounce back. I am with you on that. Last night was super rough. The last couple of nights have been kind of tough, but today is a great day. Good of a day as any, right? For a little bit of bounce back. Todd, good to see you're able to make it here this morning. What's up to you, my friend? Thomas, what's happening? AKA Fred Dog, if you're up in the Discord community, Patreon community, that is my man Fred Dog, who's all up in the beeswax every single day. Good to see you again, Fred Dog. Everyday Fantasy, let's do it again. We will definitely do it again. Bridget, good to see you as well. I am trash in Roblox. Let's go. Dilly Ben says he won yesterday and is ready to win again. Love it, love it, love it. Ronald's Green, another Patreon/Discord member, is in the building. Good to see you, Ronald. Anthony says, good morning. Let's go, team. We had an okay night. You know, it did end up kind of being an okay night, at least for me anyway. I put in a couple late night entries on some free throw props, and it ended up working out. But we can do better. I know we can do better. Ibrahim, good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. Boston, good morning. Love to see you back in here again. Boston, Yayo Peso, $100 profitable night. Love to hear it. Zamir, good morning to you. Taylor's in the building. Got the flames and the cash going. Love to see that. Affordable Luxury Records, Bounce Back Gang, LOL. Nick Guthrie, good to see you again, my friend. Blaze to the Sky Media Group, very rough. Let's get it. Yes, yes, yes. Very, very rough. Jared, or Gerard, however you would like to pronounce that. 1 Jokic fantasy point away from $100. King Chris is in the building. Jermail is up in here. Official M23 dog. Yo. And the Joker Taco killed some folks. Yeah. That Taco might have had some food poisoning. Blue Sample says, good morning, guys. Some Logic last call and some CJ picks. Good way to start the day. Love it. Love it. So you're a Logic fan, huh? Logic's got some bars. He's got some bars. I know he's not for everyone, but you know, Logic is good. He's dope. Peso took Wagner under fantasy. Ouchie, wah wah. Wagner had himself a career day yesterday. Nearly 40 points for the rookie. Love that kid. As a Magic fan, I absolutely love that kid. Whew, man, everybody's starting to join in, file in now. Good to see it. Good to see it. All right, we got a lot of games to talk about. Let's do a little quick recap of what happened yesterday. And by yesterday, I mean Patreon. For me, it was terrible. There's no two ways about it. I think I ended up having one pick that ended up working out, 4 others that just did not pan out. The one that worked out was Russell Westbrook over 20.5 points. The ones that did not work out were Chris Middleton over 4.5 rebounds. Burned me. He was doing literally almost everything except for rebounding and assisting. We talked about both on yesterday's show and how it looked like a good spot for Chris Middleton, both in his rebounds and his assists. He scored the ball well. That would have been nice. I think he was at 17.5 points to take the over against the Orlando Magic. But despite playing 4 quarters, Chris Middleton just wasn't getting any rebounds. So that pick did not work out for me. All right. The other ones that failed me, I took McDaniels from the T-Wolves. He was at 1.5 assists. I thought, you know, with everybody being out for the Timberwolves, surely this guy could find 2 assists in a close competitive game against the Knicks, right? To a team that's giving up so many assists. But it was not the case. It was not meant to be. Jaden McDaniels did not get the job done. And on the other side of that game, we had Julius Randle going over 3.5 free throws. Going up against a team that's allowing the most free throws in the league, high foul rate guys like Jaden McDaniels, like Naz Reid. Julius Randle was just too worried about hitting 3-pointers. He was camping, playing away from the hoop, wasn't playing aggressive, wasn't playing physical whatsoever. He did not hit his free throw prop. And the last one of the night was actually probably the biggest surprise to me. Steph Curry in a prime, juicy matchup against the Denver Nuggets. Went completely ghost for almost the entire first half. I don't know where he was at. I don't know what he was doing. He had like 3 turnovers and 1 foul in the first quarter. It was mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. He did end up with about 23 points, but that wasn't good enough to go over 29.5. So Steph Curry had a terrible night. And in return, made me have a terrible night. So dang it, Steph Curry. That's all I got to say. Dang it. We'll try and get that money back tonight, though. So apologies to the Patreon members. It did not go according to plan. Sometimes it's just like that, folks. It's just like that. We're not going to win them all, but hopefully we win tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's slate. We've got 7 p.m. Charlotte Hornets, Indiana Pacers, 227.5 points. Love that total. Super high, super juicy there. 3.5 point spread in favor of the Indiana Pacers. So this game looks like one where you might want to target some overs. Close game, high total. Love to see it. Looking at the injury news for both teams, we got Bridges as a game time decision. Lewis and Washington ruled out. Over on the other side for Indiana, we got Brogdon as a game time decision. Warren and McConnell already ruled out for this one. 7 p.m., New York Knicks at Detroit Pistons. Low total here, 210 points, 7.5 point spread in favor of the visiting New York Knicks. So this one looking a little dicey here. Might be borderline blowouts type of stuff. We got Derrick Rose, Nerlens Noel, Sims, Mooney, Selden Jr. all ruled out for New York. Over on the Detroit side, a long list of names. Livers, I don't know how you say his name. Cade Cunningham, Jeremy Grant, Kelly Olynyk, Lee, Stewart, Jackson, Lyles, Magruder, Hayes, and Joseph all out for the Detroit Pistons. Lots of big names there. The biggest ones being Cade Cunningham and Jeremy Grant. And I guess you could throw Isaiah Stewart in there as well. Moving it down to 7:30, we got the Los Angeles Clippers at the Boston Celtics. This game has a 209-point total. Not super high. Spreads at 6 points in favor of the Celtics. Looking at the list of names out for the Clippers: Jackson, Preston, Leonard, Paul George, big one there, obviously, Paul George, Scrub, Batum, Hartenstein, and Wright. Taking a look at the Boston side, we got some GTDs, game time decisions for Hauser, Marcus Smart, and Jackson. Guys who have already been ruled out include Jason Tatum, Enes Freedom, Nesmith, Fernando, and Miles, already ruled out for Boston. Going down to the 8 p.m. game here, the Los Angeles Lakers 226 implied point total. The Memphis Grizzlies are 6-point favorites at home. Man, the Lakers struggled last night to take out the Houston Rockets. Like, I never thought I'd see the day where LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony would all be on the same team and struggle with a bunch of basically no-name Houston Rocket players. A bunch of young guys, you know. But such was the case last night. Anyways, pretty high totals on this game. Spread 6 points in favor of the home team, the Grizzlies. Looking at the injury news here, Bazemore, Reeves, Ellington, Mason, and Rondo, all game time decisions. Kendrick Nunn, Anthony, the Brow, Davis, already ruled out. Trevor Ariza out as well. The other side of this game, Williams, Aldama, Merrill, Konkar, Melton, Culver, and Brooks. Dylan Brooks and Melton, probably the biggest ones for the Grizzlies, are all out. 8 p.m., we've got the Atlanta Hawks versus the Chicago Bulls. A nice total here, 223.5 points, but the spread is 8 points. So we're seeing a lot of these like 6, 7, 8-point spreads here. Kind of like borderline blowout territory. Over on the Atlanta side, a long list of names. John Collins is the biggest one to keep an eye out on. He is a game time decision at this moment. Cooper, Herter, Gallinari, Hunter, Hill, Okongwu, Johnson, Wright, Bogdanovich, Williams, Luwawu Cabarro, Jang, and Iwundu are all out. But I believe Iwundu just got cleared, so I expect him to play tonight. Looking at the other side of this game, Jones Jr. is a game time decision. No Williams, Caruso, McKinney, Bradley, or Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, easily the two that are most impactful. 8:30 brings us Miami Heat at San Antonio Spurs. 219 points, decent total there. Spread is just 3, so this one looks to stay fairly close, competitive, have a decent total here, so I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. We got Jimmy Butler as a game time decision. Now, they just announced that both PJ Tucker and Gabe Vincent have entered health and safety protocols, so those guys will not be playing tonight. Morris Oladipo, Adebayo, Bam Adebayo out. Dwayne Dedmon, Kyle Lowry, Strus, and Udonis Haslem already ruled out. Collins and the big one, DeJounte Murray for the Spurs, are both out. Looking at the 9 p.m. game, Oklahoma City Thunder, Phoenix Suns. This game's probably going to be a blowout. 216.5 implied points. We've got Phoenix as 14.5-point favorites. Major blowout risk here. This is one that I would say play first half only picks. So that would be points or fantasy points on PrizePicks, and stay away from everything else unless you think for some reason that Oklahoma City on a back-to-back keeps this game close against a very good Phoenix team. I don't believe so, but, you know, crazier things have happened. Josh Giddey, Derek Favors, Darius Bazley, all game time decisions for OKC. We got Pokusevski, if I said that right. Robinson Earl already ruled out for OKC. On the Phoenix side, Sarge, Kaminsky, Nader, Crowder, and Ayton. Two guys that normally start for Phoenix are both out tonight. So you're going to see some JaVale McGee and Cameron Johnson in the starting lineup, most likely. And then finally, we got our late night games. 10 p.m., Utah Jazz at the Portland Trail Blazers, 228.5 points. So a very high total here. Spread is 7 points in favor of the Utah Jazz. We're not going to have Donovan Mitchell or Azubuike. And then it looks like Fitz is going to be a game time decision. For Portland, McCollum, Zeller, Nurkic, Watford, Covington, Blevins, and McLemore all out. So obviously CJ McCollum's been out. Nothing new there. But Yusuf Nurkic is out again. And Robert Covington, both guys who normally start for Portland. And the last game of the night, 10:30 p.m., Dallas Mavericks, Sacramento Kings, 220 implied points. The spread, just 2.5 points in favor of the visiting Dallas Mavericks. No Luka Doncic, no Willie Cauley-Stein, no Trey Burke, no Maxi Kleber, no Tim Hardaway Jr. So probably going to be looking Dorian Finney-Smith's way, Jalen Brunson, probably Kristaps Porzingis, who had a very good game in the last game with all these other guys out. On the Sacramento side, Mitchell, Queta, King, Bagley III, and Lynn, all game time decisions. Marvin Bagley III did play last night, though, so maybe there's a chance he plays again tonight. So that's it, guys. Whew. That's a lot of games, a lot of names to talk about. Good morning to those who have slid up in here that I have not said hello to yet. It's good to see you folks. Listen, last night couldn't have gotten much better, or much worse. So we can only really go up from here, right? Can only really go up from here. Isaac says, shout out to CJ for leading me to slamming the Yurtseven props. Yes, the over on his rebounds, even when they jacked it all the way up to 11. The dude was 9.5 rebounds when we started the show yesterday. Do y'all remember that? Y'all remember that, right? He ended up going up to 11 boards, I think, by the end of the night, and he still covered 11 rebounds. So good to see everybody up in here this morning. Glad you're joining. If you haven't liked today's stream, go ahead, take an opportunity to do that now. We're going to get into some points, rebounds, assists, some 3-point makes, and probably some fantasy points as well. So go ahead, slap that like button now if you haven't. If you're not subscribed yet, do so now. Turn on that bell, ring that bell so that you're notified every time I go live. Let's get some water and then get down to business. All right. Starting things off here, looking at some points props. Let's go ahead and refresh this lovely little tool here. This is free. It's on fantasypros.com. What this shows you is basically a defense versus position breakdown. It's going to show you how many points, how many assists, how many rebounds, how many fantasy points are given up by defenses in different time spans. So you could look at the full season. You could look at the last 30 games, you could look at the last 15 games, or you could look at the last 7 games. So for this, I'll be using the last 7 games, getting a more recent sample size with all of the changes to these different rosters due to COVID, due to injuries. I want the most recent sample size possible. So we'll be using that, obviously, and we're going to be going back to Fantasy Labs. So let's refresh that, make sure we have all of the latest props pulled in. I will go to the points prop and we'll get down to business here. So we're going to be taking a look at the guys in their last 10 games, who's been hitting at the highest rate, who's been hitting at the lowest rate, and start things off like we typically do. One guy that's standing out is Marcus Morris going up against the Boston Celtics. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Marcus Morris a Celtic at one point? Or was it his brother Markieff? I believe one of the Morris twins was on the Boston Celtics at one point. I don't know. I could be wrong. Sometimes my memory fails me. But anyway, Marcus Morris at 14.5 points. We're talking about him because in his last 10 games, he's covered this prop in 70% of those contests. Now, you can see in his last 5 games here, he's averaging 18.8 points per game, and he's gone over in 4 out of 5. That's an 80% hit rate. So 80% in the last 5, 70% in the last 10 games. Loving what we're seeing here so far for Marcus Morris. So let's go ahead and take a look. He kind of fills that small forward / power forward role for the Los Angeles Clippers. So let's start things off. We'll look at the power forward position, see how many points that Boston gives up to opposing power forwards on a per game basis over the last 7 games. 24.5, not bad. That puts him as the 7th most giving in terms of points per game to the power forward position. So this is a plus matchup, a good ideal situation here for Marcus Morris. Now, if we consider him to be a small forward, we got to go down a ways. They're giving up about 19.3 points per game. to opposing small forwards. So that kind of puts them middle of the pack, kind of an average team over the last 7 games. Not really a plus matchup, not really a minus or bad matchup here for Marcus Morris. So things are looking pretty okay so far here for Mr. Morris, I would say. High hit rates, good situation. And looking at his number, he's at 13.2 projected points. Now, that does put him below 14.5, But if we look at a couple of the different books out there where they have their line set, we've got DK. They got him at 14.5, which is where PrizePicks has him. But you look at their rival, FanDuel. They've got him at 15.5. Now, at 14.5, we're seeing action on the over at minus 120. At 15.5, we're seeing people take the under at minus 122. So between 14.5 and 15.5 lies 15 points. Maybe he lands on 15 tonight and covers. I can tell you this, in his last 5 games, 20 or more points in 4 out of those 5. And in his last 3, he's gone for exactly 24 points in 3 straight games. So things are looking quite nice here for Mr. Marcus Morris versus the Boston Celtics. Nick says he's pretty sure it was Marcus Morris who was the Celtic. I kind of thought he was for like a brief little minute, right? He wasn't there very long. Yatil also confirming Marcus was a Celtic. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe he gets a little bit more motivated going up against the Boston Celtics. I'm just throwing it out there. Look, it worked yesterday for Russell Westbrook. We thought, hey, he's playing with a little extra motivation because Karl Anthony Towns called him a stat chaser. And he happens to be facing his former team in the Houston Rockets. Let's smash the over on Russell Westbrook's points. And ended up working out. So maybe Marcus Morris plays with a little chip on his shoulder tonight. Who else are we thinking about here? Well, LeBron James is not up on the board. He is on a back-to-back, however. But at 28.5 points, he's been covering in his last 10 games at a 70% clip. So things are looking pretty good for him. Let's see. Do we have Doug McDermott is not up on the board, but he's another guy that maybe you should consider. Doug McDermott at just 12.5 points has covered in 70% of his last 10 games. Looks like PrizePicks just dropped some more props on us from the Atlanta-Chicago game. Gotta love that. While we're talking about Chicago, let's talk about Nikola Vucevic. Now, these teams just played each other the other night. Nikola Vucevic at 17.5 points has covered this prop 70% of the time in his last 10 games. So a pretty high hit rate for him. Looking at the last 5 games here, at 17.5 points, he's covered in 60% of his contests. Now, speaking of the Atlanta Hawks, which is tonight's opponent, he dropped 24 points on Atlanta in their last matchup. So we know he can get it done against Clint Capella and company. It's just a matter of, will he get it done 2 games in a row against the Atlanta Hawks? Let's dig in a little bit further here and look at Nikola Vucevic. All right, we got the center position pulled up. Let's go find the Atlanta Hawks. We don't have to go down too far. They're near the top, giving up about 24.5 points per game on average to the center position over the last 7 games. So I would call this a plus matchup, a favorable matchup here for Vucevic. Let's go pull up a projection on his points and take a look and see what Action Labs, which is a part of Fantasy Labs, has to say. Well, they got him projected for 21.3 points. 21.3 points, but on 2 different books here, folks. People are taking the under. Minus 115 under 17.5, minus 120 under 17.5. So despite a favorable projection, according to Action Labs here, we're seeing the betting public put their money down on the under at 17.5. They don't think he's going to cover 17.5 points again versus this Atlanta Hawks team. But the hit rates over the last 10 games looking pretty sweet for Vooch. As I mentioned, 70%. So there you go. Now I ended up taking Clint Capella the last time they played Chicago. Clint Capella had 8 points in the first half. Then he managed to score 0 in the third, 0 in the fourth, finishing with just 8 for the game. So I don't know that I want to revisit Clint Capella here. And of course, when I do that, he'll end up hitting. But I just wanted to point that out. Maybe some other guys to consider. Miles Turner, we talked about liking the high total of this game. We love the matchup going against Charlotte. Charlotte's not a very good defense, guys. We know that by now. We do these shows every single day, pretty much Monday through Friday. And we know that the Charlotte Hornets are a team you want to target players against, right? So like Miles Turner, for example, probably in a great matchup. Let's go take a look at his points prop in his matchup today. All right, what do you know? Charlotte giving up the third most points per game to opposing centers over the last 7 games, 27.2 points per game. So there's plenty of upside, plenty of ceiling here for Miles Turner to get the job done. Looking at his projection, we'll go over to Action Labs and pull it up. I got Miles Turner going for 14.2 points. Not enough. According to the projections, projections can be wrong. They are not 100% accurate, folks. Keep that in mind. You can cross-reference this on some of the free sites out there that offer player prop projections. But here on Action Labs, they like him to go for 14.2 points. But on 3 different books, we're seeing all of them take the over at just 15.5 points. The betting public's thinking that going over on Miles Turner is the way to go. So 60% hit rate in his last 10 games. The hit rate in the last 5 again sits at 60%. So there you go. There's some names to consider for some points props. All right, let's go ahead, switch it up. We'll take a look at some rebounds and see what we're liking there. Appreciate everybody who has joined me this morning. What up, Cam? Shout out to you too for showing me CJ's page. Oh, thank you, Cam. Good to see you, Isaac. Thanks for joining us. Better Media says, thanks to CJ, I've been hitting my props at a much higher rate. CJ is the real deal. Well, you know, I try to be. No one's perfect. Nothing ever goes according to plan. You know how it goes in this player prop space. But I'm glad that I'm helping some of you folks out here. Jesse says he did boop last night. Let's get this money tonight. Yeah, we have to have a short-term memory in this player prop daily fantasy sports game. We got to leave tomorrow or yesterday. We got to leave yesterday behind us, right? And we got to look forward to today and try to win today. That's all we can do. We can't dwell on what happened yesterday all too much. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the high hit rate rebounders here. Some of these Lakers are not up on the board, but LeBron James, Russell Westbrook should be considered tonight. 70% and 60% hit rates over the last 10 games, respectively. Here's a guy that we don't talk about a whole lot when it comes to rebounds, Terrence Mann. Terrence Mann at 5.5 boards, a 60% hit rate in his last 10 games. Pretty decent, not super high hit rate. You can see in his last 5 games, things have been a little bit up or down. So let's take a look at Terrence Mann a little bit closer here because he has shown an ability to pull in 7 boards. He's got 7 rebound upside. But do we think that this 5.5 is too much or too little tonight? That's really the question. He's averaging about 4.2 rebounds per game over the last 5 games. Let's get things started here by looking at this matchup. Now, I kind of call Terrence Mann a shooting guard / small forward. You know, depends on who's in and out for the lineup for the Los Angeles Clippers. They're facing off against Boston tonight. Boston giving up about 8.3 rebounds per game to the small forward position. It's not a terrible matchup here. I mean, that puts him just outside the top 10 most rebounds allowed per game over the last 7 to the small forward position. So not a terrible matchup. Let's look at the shooting guard position and go find Boston in this list here. Got to go down a little bit further here. They're giving up just about 5.8 rebounds per game. Now, that does put them toward the bottom. So overall, I wouldn't call this matchup spectacular, fantastic, outrageously good here for Terrence Mann. Just okay. We'll call it a just okay matchup. Let's take a look at his rebounds here and see what his projection is. They got him projected for 5.7 boards, but we're seeing some big money here, folks. Minus 145 odds on the over at 5.5 rebounds. So the betting public, they are slapping the over on Terrence Mann at 5.5 boards, despite his inconsistency in the last 5 games. Kind of been up or down, right? He is coming off of a bad game in terms of rebounds against the Brooklyn Nets. So maybe it's a bounce back spot. You know me, I like taking props after they flop. And this was clearly a flop on Terrence Mann's behalf at just 2 rebounds. Decent spot, decent matchup overall. Maybe he's a name to consider. Looking out at the rest of the rebounds here, There's not a whole lot. There's not a whole lot that I love in terms of just looking purely at hit rates. What we can do, though, is go look at some of these matchups here. And the Charlotte Hornets, again, guys, giving up over 20 rebounds per game to the center position. So we liked Miles Turner in terms of points. Maybe we look his way for rebounds instead. Or maybe make two different entries. Maybe you take the over on points in one, and then you play him again, and you take the over on rebounds. Again, the Hornets giving up the first most rebounds per game to the center position in the last 7 games, over 20 rebounds per game, nearly 21. Nearly 21. They're the only team in the NBA giving up 20 or more rebounds to centers over the last 7 games. Huge plus matchup here for Miles Turner. If we look at the power forward position, the same thing applies here. I expect Sabonis and Turner to have their way on the glass. Charlotte giving up the first most rebounds to the power forward position as well. So both of these guys, for me, are in play when it comes to rebound props. Let's go ahead and pull up projections for both. We've got Turner projected for just 7.7 boards. I just don't subscribe to that. I'm just going to have to fade that projection. That seems too low. Too low. At 9.5 rebounds, there's a couple of different books out there where people are smashing the under at 9.5, which is why we're getting Miles Turner at just 9 rebounds against Charlotte. Now, I will say that sometimes he has the tendency to drift out to the three-point line and become a 7-foot tall three-point shooter, which is weird. It's like the Brook Lopez story, right? So I'm a little concerned about him. Sabonis, he likes to get down there in the paint and play the paint a little bit more. I know his number is a lot higher. His number is a lot higher than Turner. But I've got him at 12.6 projected boards at 13.5. Looks like he's a betting favorite at minus 132. Go under 13.5. One of these two dudes is going to hit their rebound prop. It just seems inevitable with the way that these matchups look. Charlotte bleeding 13 and 20. That's like 33, 34 rebounds per game given up to opposing bigs, power forwards, and centers. Somebody's going to hit their over. So I know the projections are saying under on Sabonis, under on Turner, but I don't know that I'm believing that. Anyway, let's switch it up. Let's look at some dime droppers, see who's hitting at a high hit rate, who's not. We'll start things off by looking at some Hornets players. Terry Rozier, not on the board, but at 3.5 assists, 70% hit rate. 70% hit rate in his last 10 games, so I think you could look Terry Rozier's way. By the way, I see some of you guys asking about some plays or some props. Hold off on those, and then you could leave them toward the end, and I'll take those, and then we'll do those research. We'll research those picks and plays together. So hold off on your favorite picks and plays. We'll take those at the end. That way I don't have to go scrolling through the chat and find those. All right. Anyway, Terry Rozier, his assists look very good if they add him to the board. Right now, the only Charlotte Hornet we have up is LaMelo Ball. I guess he's worth looking at just 7 assists. You're going to find him at 7.5 dimes on most books. LaMelo Ball here at 7 assists in his last 5 games has went for 7 or more in 3 out of 5, it looks like. He's averaging right around 7 assists per game in that last 5-game span. So let's look at this matchup here. We'll go to point guards, we'll go to assists, and then we'll go find the Indiana Pacers, who are giving up about 7 assists per game to opposing point guards. Not a great matchup here for LaMelo Ball's assists, despite the decent hit rate. But it will be an up-tempo, high-scoring game. At least that's what it projects to be. So let's pull a projection up here for LaMelo Ball. I got him going for 7.9 dimes. But at 7.5, like I said, they're betting the under, which is why PrizePicks has knocked him down to just 7 assists today. So it could be difficult. Could be difficult. Who else are we liking here? As far as hit rates go, Norman Powell's one that's really starting to pop here in the last 10 games. Norman Powell, 60% hit rate, pretty decent hit rate. He is also at 60% in his last 5 games. He's averaging 3.6 assists. Now, he's coming off of 2 games in a row here where he's assisted for less than 2.5. He's been 1 assist shy of hitting the over. So maybe he finally breaks out of that slump and gets back to these 4s and 5s tonight against the Utah Jazz. Let's look at this matchup here. Powell, kind of a shooting guard for Portland. He's going up against the Utah Jazz. The Jazz, let's go find them here. Ooh, they're pretty stingy. 4.1 assists allowed per game in the last 7 games to the shooting guard position. Let's pull a projection up for Norman Powell. Got him projected for 2.2, and he's a betting favorite to go under 2.5 at -125. So despite the high hit rates over the last 10 games, I don't know. Norman Powell's looking a little bit shaky, little bit iffy to me. All right, let's see. Oh, Nick leaving a super chat up in here saying, leave your picks and questions at the end, and you can leave a super chat anytime. Thanks, CJ. Let's make some money. Hey, thumbs up, and thank you, Nick, for the super chat. Appreciate that. Love it, man. Love it. Let's go ahead and take a look at some 3-point makes, and then we'll start taking your questions here. Not seeing a whole lot that I'm liking right now as of what's on the board right now. It's looking a little kind of bleh to me. We got a few different 3-point shooters up on the board. Now, we loved the Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball 3-point props the other day, and they both ended up coming through for us. I think they went up against who? Sacramento, was it? Or no, it was Houston. Let's talk about Terry Rozier first, because in the last 3 games, he's hit the over in 3 straight games at 2.5 3-point makes, 4, 4, and 7 respectively. Of course, this game against Indiana, pretty high total. So maybe Terry Rozier's in a good spot here. Let's go take a look at this matchup. He's kind of more of the shooting guard for Charlotte. LaMelo, the point guard. Finding the Indiana Pacers in this list here, man, they're pretty stingy. They're giving up just 2.2 3-point makes per game to shooting guards over the last 7 games. Let's look at the point guard position here. We'll pull up the Indiana Pacers and see how they do against opposing point guards. Ooh, where are they? Oh, there they are. 2.7 3-point makes allowed in the last 7 games to opposing point guards. So a little bit better matchup here for the point guards than the shooting guards. But let's go ahead, pull a projection up for Terry Rozier. We'll also take a look at LaMelo Ball while we're here, because both of those guys have been doing a great job at hitting their 3-point prop. Now, I got Rozier projected for 3 3-point makes. So that would be the over, according to the projections, which again, aren't everything. They aren't the end all be all. They're never 100%. They're never going to be 100% accurate. But the bettors are taking the under. The betting public, -125 and -130 respectively, taking the under on Terry Rozier's 2.5 3-point makes. Let's look at LaMelo Ball here. He's at 2.5. You're seeing a little trend here. Over, under, over, under, over. Is today one of those games where he goes back under? Well, we talked about the matchup here against Indiana. Looks a little bit better for point guards than it does shooting guards, right? So let's pull a projection up for LaMelo Ball. I got him at 2.5 3-point makes. So he's projected to make exactly the amount that PrizePicks has him up for at 2.5. And we're not seeing any juice, any action over or under at 2.5 3-point makes. Do we want to consider Gordon Hayward perhaps at 1.5 3-point makes? It's a high-scoring game. Maybe he's the way to go. So 1.5 3-point makes. Let's go take a look at the matchup for Hayward. He's kind of the small forward, right? Small forward going up against Indiana. Indiana's just stingy, y'all. I don't know if I love any of these 3-point props. They're giving up just 1.4 3-point makes over the last 7 games to opposing small forwards, which puts him under. Right? Let's pull up a projection on Gordon Hayward. Got him going for 1.8 3-point makes. We got 2 different books, 2 different sites at a -135 over 1.5 threes. I feel like one of these guys will probably hit. Who it's going to be is to be determined. I don't know. That's going to be a tough one to figure out. Some other guys maybe worth considering. I know Zach LaVine went absolutely bonkers against Atlanta. He faces Atlanta again tonight. I took the over on his points the last time he faced off against the Hawks. You could see how well he's been doing from beyond the arc in the last 3 games. But really, if we look at the last 5, he's hit 3 or more in 4 out of 5. So that's an 80% hit rate. But more specifically, the last 3 games, 7, 5, and 5. So he had 5 threes made against Atlanta in the last game that they played on December 27th, averaging 4.2 3-point makes per game in that span. So let's look at this matchup. He's kind of playing the shooting guard / point guard role right now with no Lonzo Ball, no Alex Caruso. I think he's getting a lot more of the ball handling duties for the Chicago Bulls. So let's go find the Hawks here, see how many threes they're giving up. They're giving up about 3-point makes per game to opposing shooting guards. So him and DeRozan should have another great game here. We look at the point guard position. Atlanta's giving up the first most 3-point makes to the point guard position, which I think, again, is where Zach LaVine kind of lines up tonight. More of that point guard role. So I'm loving the matchup here for Zach LaVine and his 3-point makes based on what I'm seeing so far. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection for you. I got him going for 3.5 3-point makes. Now at 3.5 3-point makes on 2 different books, a lot of money coming in on the under at 3.5, -155 and -150 respectively. So I think for us, we would probably take the over here on Zach LaVine at 3. Worst case scenario, maybe it ends up as a push or tie, but I expect him to have another strong game against the Atlanta Hawks tonight. All right. That's it. Let's get down to some questions here. Let's see what you guys are liking or what you're not liking. You guys are talking about the board looking super trash today. It's looking tough, guys. It's looking tough. It turns out taking these player props is difficult. It's tough. It is tough. I'm with you. Today's board, though, particularly looking kind of tough. I believe it. I believe it. Chris is saying that I'm doing God's work. Thank you, Chris, for the support. Appreciate you. I'm out here trying to help as many people as possible. Captain Shango says, this stream needs more likes. It needs more likes. Captain Shango, I'm with you, man. You let these people know. I see a couple of people talking about Robert the Time Lord Williams. Robert the Time Lord Williams. You guys are liking his rebounds? Is that what we're talking about? Let's look at it. Robert Williams at 9.5 boards. Well, he's now up at 10. Did they bump that since we went live here? He's at 10 rebounds, or maybe it got bumped down. Let's refresh this thing. Sometimes you got to refresh around here and see what's what. Let's refresh. Robert Williams, nope, definitely at 10 rebounds. He's definitely at 10 rebounds. Let's look at him, though. His last 5 games, Robert Williams has hit 10 or more boards in 4 out of 5. That's an 80% hit rate. Pretty good. Al Horford is back, though. And I want to say that Al Horford's been out. Well, he did play here. Let's see. He played on December 27th. Ended up with 9 boards. Robert Williams on December 27th ended up with 11. So Al Horford was out for a majority of these games here recently, where Robert Williams has been able to feast on the glass. I don't hate it. I mean, he did show an ability to get it done with Horford in the lineup. Let's just look at the matchup real quick on Robert Williams and see what's happening here against this Clippers team. He's going to be going up against Ivica Zubac. The Clippers, though, giving up 18.5 rebounds per game to the center position. That's the 4th most in all the league. 4th most, 18.5 rebounds. So this should be a plus situation for both Robert Williams and Al Horford. All right, let's go ahead and pull up the projections here. We'll go to the rebound section of Action Labs. Robert Williams, I've got him projected for 9.7 boards. Now, the reason he's been bumped up to 10 is because on 2 different books, we're seeing some very strong action on the over, -140 and -145 odds to cover 9.5. So if you could get him at 9.5 somewhere, I would say strongly consider it. This matchup looking quite lovely here against the Los Angeles Clippers, who are giving up the 4th most rebounds per game to the center position over the last 7 games. So I could see why you guys are liking some Robert Williams. I get down with that. Let's see. Jodinho said, yo, let's get it. Is today a fade or nah? It's going to be or nah for me. You know I'm never going to fade an NBA slate. It's just the degenerate in me. Better Media wants me to check out Desmond Bane's points. He's loving the over. You're loving the over on some Desmond Bane. Is it going to be D Bane or is it going to be D Payne tonight if we take the over on Desmond Bane? Let's go find him here. Maybe I skipped by him. Don't see him up on the PrizePicks board just yet. Not seeing him up on the PrizePicks board just yet. But let's just go ahead and pull up a projection for you on Desmond Bane. Maybe PrizePicks will add Mr. Bane to the list later. I do have him at 18 points. Looks like his line is kind of all over the place. We got him at 18.5 on DK Sportsbook. We've got him at 20.5 over on FanDuel Sportsbook. Pretty different there. Two really different lines, but both would be unders based on the projections of just 18 points. So we'll have to see where they put Desmond Bane up on the board, facing off against the Lakers tonight. But the Lakers this season haven't been very good at guarding point guards or shooting guards. Kind of soft against opposing guards. So I could kind of get on board with you liking some Desmond Bane over points. Dilly, you're saying you hate the 0.5s. There was a point in time where I played nothing but the 0.5s because I hate tying. I don't know. What's the consensus from chat? Do you guys like having those props rounded up, rounded down where there's a chance you could tie? Or do you hate that? I kind of like having a clean win or a clean loss. I don't like to be involved in a push or a tie situation. Let's take a look and see what you guys are liking. Marco, thanks for dropping that play into the chat. He's liking some Cam Reddish assists. Now, are you liking the over or the under on Cam Reddish assists? You got to come correct, my friend. Let's take a look at it, though. Cam Reddish at 1.5 dimes facing Chicago today had 0 assists in that last meeting against the Bulls. But 3 previous games, he had 3, and 4 assists, respectively. You go back to December 17th, he had another goose egg here against the Denver Nuggets. So it's been kind of hit or miss, boom or bust here for Cam Reddish and this assist prop. Let's just go ahead, pull up a projection on this one for you and see what the money's looking like. Is it coming in on the over or the under? At 1.5 assists, I got it projected for 1.8 according to Action Labs. 2 different books have him going over at minus 130 odds. What to do, Mr. Cam Reddish? I don't know. He's definitely been getting buckets, though. I can tell you that. He has been scoring. GMBTY says, how are you feeling about Trae Young's assist or Jordan Clarkson? Trae Young's assist or Jordan Clarkson's assist? Are we asking about Jordan Clarkson's assist? Well, I'm not sure about your Jordan Clarkson recommendation, but let's take a look at Trae Young. We got him at 10 assists today. His game logs are full of pushes and unders in the last 5 games. 10, 9, 4, 10, and 9, respectively, averaging 8.4 dimes. He had 9 against Chicago just 1 game ago, which would have put him under today's number of 10 assists. Let's pull up a projection here. We talked Cam Reddish assists. How about his teammate, the point guard, Trae Young? I got him at 10.5 projected assists, but the reason he's at 10 on PrizePicks is because people are smashing the under out on the different sports books. At 10.5, minus 140 betting favorite to go under. Minus 140 betting favorite to go under. So that's why you're seeing a 10 on Trae Young. But he is projected to go over. Definitely cross-reference this. He hasn't been covering 10 assists in the last 5 games. He's tied it, but he has not covered it. Could be tough. Dilly, what's happening, my friend? Royce O'Neal over 2.5 assists. I want to say that he was up on the board the other night at 2.5 assists and didn't end up coming through. I don't see him up on the PrizePicks board right now. I'm just going to make this short and sweet, pull a projection for you. Seeing some strong odds here, minus 160 betting favorite over 2.5. Unfortunately, we've got a projection that is also at exactly 2.5. So we're not seeing really any edge when we look at the action projection tool. Adam, love to see what you're doing here. You're liking Mike Conley under assists. We don't talk a whole lot about unders. We probably should talk about them a lot more. Looking at Michael Conley Jr. here at 6.5 assists, guys, 0% hit rate in his last 5 games, averaging just 4.6 dimes. Now, you would think that his assists might go up a little bit without Donovan Mitchell in the lineup, but I believe Mitchell's missed at least the last game, maybe the last 2 games, and Conley's sitting at 5 and 2 assists, respectively. Now, this game against Portland could be a plus assist matchup here for Michael Conley Jr. Let's go take a look at that matchup real quick. We'll pull up the assist column. We'll go find Portland. Yeah, they're giving up 9.2 dimes to opposing point guards. So that's probably why Mike Conley's number's still at 6.5 and not like 5.5. It probably should be at 5.5, but given the matchup here, I could see why they've left it at 6.5. Portland giving up the 8th most assists per game to opposing point guards. So it could be one of them games where Conley finally breaks out of the funk. Could be. I got him projected for 6.3 assists, guys. 2 different books. He's a betting favorite to go over at minus 135 odds. Tricky one. That is a tricky one. The hit rates would say go under, right? Set it and forget it. But this is a good matchup for Conley. Be careful with that one. Tony Ruiz, one of the Patreon and Discord community members. Trae Young points versus the Chicago Bulls. Let's take a look at it, because this game was a lot of fun from a fantasy sports betting perspective. There was a lot of points scored by guys like DeMar DeRozan. He's at 25.5. He dropped 35 points versus Atlanta just 1 game ago, so he could be worth a look, averaging 31 points per game in his last 5. We talked about Cam Reddish, who's been scoring the ball very well. He had 33 points versus the Chicago Bulls just 1 game ago. He's been a little hit or miss, little hard to trust, but against Chicago, looking like a pretty decent look. Trae Young is at 31.5, folks. That seems like a high number. Can he get it done? Of course. He's got 41 point upside in his last 5 games, 34 points against Denver. So he's hit this number in 2 out of his last 5 games. He did not hit this number just 1 game back against this same Chicago Bulls team. So there's a little bit of concern here from me on this prop. Let's pull a projection up for Trae Young. I got him going for 30.3 points. Now, you're going to find him at 32.5 on most of the sports books out there. Even at 32.5, you're seeing the under being taken, minus 115, minus 120. Things get a little tricky here at 31.5. Has not shown a very high hit rate, a great ability to cover 31.5 in his last 5 games, just a 40% hit rate. Could he do it? Of course, it's Trae Young, right? I just feel like maybe one of these Bulls players are going to be a little more safe. A guy like Zach LaVine, he hung 30 points up on the Hawks last game. We know he's going to be getting tons of shots. DeMar DeRozan, already talked about him, 25.5 points. He hung 35 points up on the Atlanta Hawks in the last game. So I'd probably feel a little more comfortable going with one of these Bulls players. I feel like their number could be, just as easily up there at 31.5 where Trae Young is, based on how they've been shooting and scoring in their last several games. So for me, I'd be looking at the Bulls side of things here. I think that Trae Young number is going to be tough. It's going to be a tough one. Let's see what else you guys are liking here. Mike Conley under assists. We talked about that one. Mike Conley over 3.5 rebounds. All right. So we've considered going under on Mike Conley's assist at 6.5, but you're also saying, how about Mike Conley over 3.5 rebounds? Well, we don't have him up on PrizePicks just yet. Maybe he'll be added, though. Maybe he'll be added later in the night. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection for you, though, in the meantime. I got him going for 3.3 boards. 3.3 boards. Now, you're wanting to take the over, which would totally fly in the face of what the betting public is doing, because they've got minus 165 under 3.5 boards. Huge money. Big money coming in on the under for Mike Conley's rebounds at 3.5. All right, be careful with that one. this just in. Isaac M. has reported that Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat has been ruled out for tonight's game. Wow. Okay, that's pretty big. So he's out. We know PJ Tucker's out, and we know Gabe Vincent is out. Who the heck is left for the Miami Heat? Who the heck is left for the Miami Heat? I don't know. Well, that's pretty big news. Dalton, you're liking the Zach LaVine over points, and you're liking Marcus Morris over points. We talked about Marcus Morris a little earlier. David says, this must be said. Look at LaVine versus the Hawks. First half points on StatMuse for everyone. All right. You are dropping a gem here, potentially. You must feel strongly about this because you left a super chat, which I thank you for. Zach LaVine versus the Hawks. First half points on StatMuse. All right. You asked for it. Let's get it. Zach LaVine, first half points versus Hawks game logs. There it is. Whew. Okay. I see what you're seeing here. He had 23 versus the Hawks 1 game ago. 23 first half points. He had 39 first half points versus the Hawks on April 9th. 17, 15, 18. So like 5 straight games, he's gone for 15 or more points. Let's go look at Zach LaVine and his first half point prop. 12.5. Oh, okay. I see what you're doing here. You're saying we should slap the over at 12.5 points because this man has covered easily in 5 straight games as a member of the Chicago Bulls versus the Atlanta Hawks. 18, 15, 17, 39, and 23 just 1 game ago. You might have made some people some money today, David. You had to spend some money to make some money by leaving that super chat, but I think you might have made some people some money today. I don't mind that, actually. You on to something. You are on to something. Let's take it a step further. Let's remove the Hawks from the equation. And let's just look at Zach LaVine's first half points game logs. Now, this is just against anyone, not just Atlanta, but just against anyone. Let's take a look at these. How many times has he covered 12.5 here in the last few games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's like 5 out of what, 7? 5 out of his last 7 games. We won't go back too far, but 5 out of the last 7 games, pretty decent. I mean, we could go back a little further. 14, 15. He comes out of the gates pretty hot. What do we think, gang? What do we think? Zach LaVine over 12.5 points. Looking pretty strong here. StatMuse, shout out to you. Love StatMuse. What you think about that? Looking pretty good. Appreciate you, David, for leaving the super chat, for bringing attention, shining some light on this particular player prop. Love it, man. Love it. Looks like a strong way to go. Let's see what else you folks are talking about. Isaac is saying Tyler Herro's props could be good if they're available. Well, I'm sure they'll be available at some point, but you know how they go. You know, by the time they put him up on the board, all of his numbers are going to be pretty inflated. They're going to jack everything up. Duncan Robinson, Herro, Omer for the Heat is all that's left. Yeah, they're getting down to the bare bones here on that Miami Heat squad. Dalton, you're liking Brandon Knight's fantasy points. The under on Brandon Knight. Do you guys remember how good Brandon Knight was once upon a time? Do you guys remember that? Brandon Knight was a hooper back in the day. Now, that was back in the day. He's undergone some injuries and things like that, but Brandon Knight was that dude for a short period of time. Let's go ahead and take a look here. We got Brandon Knight playing for the Dallas Mavericks. They're going to be without Luka. They're going to be without Tim Hardaway Jr. I believe that, what's his face? that other point guard they got. Name's escaping me right now. Played for Michigan. He's out. Whatever, I forget his name. I have it in there somewhere. I just can't pull it. But anyway, they're going to be pretty strapped at the guard spots. So let's take a look at Brandon Knight. You want to know about his fantasy points? I got you covered, my friend. I got you covered. Let's go ahead and refresh. Switch some things up here. Um, 15.8. 15.8 projected fantasy points. So yeah, maybe that 23 is way too high. You could be onto something with that one. That could be an underplay. You might be right there, my friend. Thanks, Dalton, for leaving that one. You guys want me to say lock? I ain't saying lock, doggone it. I don't care how good that Zach LaVine play looks in the first half over points. I ain't saying lock. Yeah, shout out to David for leaving that pick. Dalton. I like that Zach, and I took it last game. He had 23. Love it, love it. Puma Townsend says, I'm new to your channel. You the man, CJ. Hey, you flex at me. I'm going to flex back. You're the man, Puma. Or maybe you're a woman. I don't know. You're the person. How about that? Fair enough. AMB Hefe likes Mitchell Robinson over 4.5 first half points. Mitchell Robinson over 4.5 first half points. It wasn't too long ago that Mitchell Robinson was up at 4.5 full game points. You guys remember that? It was like 4.5, 5.5 points, something like that. He's going up against Detroit. Detroit tonight. 4.5 points. Let's pull up a projection for you and see what we got. I've got Mitchell Robinson going for 9.1 points. 9.1, which is exactly, almost exactly, double where he's at 4.5 points. Now, 9.5 points, he is a betting favorite to go under 9.5 at -125. Listen, I don't particularly trust the New York Knicks as far as I can throw them. That's just me, though. That's just me. That guy who hitchhikes just found my stream. Nice to see someone stream PrizePicks. I know there's so many of those DK and FD, streams and stuff like that out there. And then they'll like try and say like, oh, it's a DraftKings PrizePicks stream. And then you get on there and all they're talking about is DraftKings. They're not actually talking about PrizePicks at all, which is where I come in. And I'm just going to go ahead and continue to dominate the PrizePicks live streaming space and the PrizePick content space from this day forward. How's that sound? You want me to be the face of PrizePicks? I mean, I kind of already am. But yeah, PrizePicks definitely deserves the love. GMBTY, you're liking Evan Fournier first half points. He's at 7.5. Again, I hate the New York Knicks. I just can never figure him out. It's tough. I got it projected for 13.3. 13.3, which means he's going to have to get to work pretty quickly here against Detroit. He's going to have 8 points. If he's projected for 13.3, it's kind of a low number, right? We wish this was like 16. He's at 14.5 out on your favorite sports book, -120 betting favorite to go over 14.5. I don't love it, but I'm looking it up for you, my friend, because you asked about it. All right, GMB, I'm not playing it. I'm not touching Evan Fournier or any other Nick right now. K Remedy, you like Eric Bledsoe's assists. Let's go back to some full game props here. These first half ones, little bit tricky. Eric Bledsoe at 5.5 dimes. He's gone over in 3 straight games with all of the injuries for the Los Angeles Clippers. Bledsoe taking on a bigger role. Dropping dimes left and right. No Reggie Jackson, no Paul George. Those are the biggest ones. 7, 10, and 6 assists respectively in 3 straight games for Eric Bledsoe. Let's pull up a projection for him. Got him going for 4.9 dimes. 2 different books. One book actually has him going for less than 5.5 assists. So High hit rates in the last 3 games. 7, 10, 6. But the projections not loving Eric Bledsoe. By the way, guys, I'll be going live again today. You can catch me over on the Action Network's YouTube channel. Me and my man Dan Titus will be talking about a few of our favorite PrizePicks plays. So I'll pick a couple, Dan will pick a couple, and hopefully they hit. The last time we did a show together, we both went 2 for 2, so 4 for 4 overall on our picks. So if you guys want to check that out, I think it's going to go live 3 p.m. Eastern time over on the Action Network YouTube channel. If you want more content from me, that's where you can find me. I'll be on there later today, so give it a look. Let's see what else we're talking about here, folks. Trey Burke, yes, that's the man. I knew it was T. The T was coming to mind. I just couldn't put it together. But yes, Trey Burke is also out for Dallas. So maybe Brandon Knight steps into a bigger role. Who knows? Who knows? What do you think about Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan over 25.5 points? Well, Bry Sports, if you haven't noticed, I really like both of them. Both of them should score a heap of points. They've been scoring the ball a lot. Those two, plus Nick Vucevic, all have the green light for Chicago. Shadow Stefan's liking some Brunson over 20.5 points. We got any hip-hop heads in there? I almost wanted to call Brunson Action Brunson. Maybe he's about that action. Let's take a look. Action Brunson. That's his new nickname. We'll go with it. Action Brunson for the Dallas Mavericks. Is he up on the board? I don't see Action Brunson just yet, but I'll go ahead. I'll pull up a projection for you just in good faith. I'm sure PrizePicks will add him at some point. 18.8 projected points. Not seeing any juice, any action over or under right now on the one sportsbooks we have access to. So don't know what to do with Jalen Action Brunson yet. Ooh, Dilly. Doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. This just in. Dilly Benz is reporting that the Heat and Spurs game is at risk for a postponement today. Ouch. I hope that's not the case. I hope it doesn't get postponed, but got to do what you got to do, right? Keep the players safe. Keep an eye on that, though. That's some potentially big news. Bry Sports, I'm liking Nikola Vucevic over 10.5 rebounds. Well, we talked about Vucevic and his points. Let's dig into the rebounds real quick for you. Last time he played Atlanta, pulled in 17 boards. 17 big rebounds. Overall, the last 5 games, 60% hit rate at just 10.5 boards. So he got it done in his last 2 games against Indiana and Atlanta, respectively. Let's go ahead, pull up Nikola Vucevic. 11.9 is where I have him projected today, guys. Almost 12 rebounds. 12 rebounds. 2 different books. Huge odds on the over, minus 140. Minus 140 on the over at 10.5 boards. So they're liking, the betting public liking Nikola Vucevic to cover 10.5 boards. We got him at nearly 12 rebounds right now, according to the Action Projection Tools. All right. Dalton, you're liking some De'Aaron Fox under fantasy score. We're going to buzz through these plays real quick, get you all caught up here, see what we're liking, see what we're not. Lightning round style, lightning round style. Where's De'Aaron Fox at today? He is in a back-to-back. There he is, 37. Why couldn't I find him? 37. 37 fantasy points is his projection on PrizePicks. Let's pull him up here. Dang, I got him going for 40.5. 40.5 according to Fantasy Labs, going up against the Dallas Mavericks. So be careful because this is a highly rated play today in terms of daily fantasy. 86.2 rating. Doesn't get a whole lot higher than that, with 100 being the highest. So be careful on De'Aaron Fox and going under on his fantasy points. Dilly Ben says Brandon Boston has cleared health and safety protocols. Man, you're just dropping all kind of news up in here. Okay, that's important because Brandon Boston's had some good games here lately for the Clips. Maybe that cuts into Eric Bledsoe's production a little bit. Shashidar Gouda. Steven Adams rebounds, 9.5. Ooh, some Steven Adams rebounds, huh? Let's take a look. we will head over to rebounds. Where's Steven Adams at? Is he up on the board? He's not up on the board. We're anticipating that hopefully, maybe we will get some Steven Adams rebounds up on the board, right? Let's go ahead and pull a projection up for you, just in case we do. Ooh, this is looking good. He's projected for 11.1 rebounds. 11.1 boards against the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. But I will say at 9.5 boards, people are betting the under. So do you fade the public in this situation and ride with the projections? We'll have to see. He's been rebounding much better, though, here lately. Chris SRT27, we did talk about some Terry Rozier threes. We did talk about that a little bit. Looking like a decent look. Yep, we mentioned Robert Williams rebounds at 9.5. He's up at 10 on PrizePicks. What else are you folks liking? Take a few more of these and then we'll get out of here. We might be able to keep this under an hour and a half today. Holy smokes. Yeah, Evan Fournier is trash. I agree with you there. He's just so hard to predict. He's a decent player, but he's just up and down. GMBTY, only reason was because of the recent, he kind of been starting off hot early opposed to later games. Okay. A and B, SGA and Halliburton over fantasy score. Be careful with SGA. Got a tough matchup tonight. And he's coming off of a back-to-back. So I know you want to go over on him. And for good reason. He's covered this in 5 straight games. But Phoenix is tough. And if this game blows out, which it probably will with the spread being what it is, OKC on the second half of a back-to-back, they're going to send SGA to the bench. I'm just saying. If you want to take him, though, if you like his fantasy points that much, maybe you consider taking him in a first half only type of play. All right. Let's pull up a projection. I got him going for 41.6 fantasy points, putting him slightly over the 41.5. So I don't mind you taking the over on him, but maybe do it in a first half only. All right. You're liking Halliburton too. I forgot about that one. Halliburton, 39 fantasy points. De'Aaron Fox back in the mix here, but Halliburton's another guy who's went over in 5 straight games. He's crushing it too. 51, 49, 50, 43, and with Fox back against OKC last night, 48. So he's been smashing the over on his fantasy points. I got Halliburton at 33.1, so they're not loving the over on Halliburton, but the game logs look pretty nice. Pretty nice. K Remedy says, thank you, CJ. Love this chat. I've been watching since last week. My first day watching live. Looking forward to January 1st to join Patreon. Thanks for the insight on Bledsoe. You are very welcome, my friend. I appreciate your support, tuning in, dropping the likes, dropping the comments in the chat, all that stuff. And I would love to have you on board Patreon starting on January 1st. Look, I'm not going to front and say that I hit every single night on my picks. I don't, guys. Yesterday was a bad night. I went 1 hit, 4 misses. I'm going to stand right up here, sit in his chair, as a matter of fact, and be transparent with you. I don't hit every night. I don't have the secret sauce, the special code to winning. But I am going to go hard on the research, and any picks that I post will be thoroughly vetted and researched. I can promise you that. So if you like what I do on here, you want even more content from me, you want to be a part of something bigger than yourself, you want to be a part of a community that's focused on player props, having fun, talking sports, chatting it up, consider joining Patreon on January 1st. Simple as that. All right, Mitchell Robinson over fantasy points. Let's take a look at him real quick. Mitchell Robinson's fantasy points. He's at 28.5. I'm just going to make this short and sweet, pull a projection up for you. I got him going for 28.7, so I guess you would slightly lean toward the over. No Isaiah Stewart for Detroit. Detroit's missing Jeremy Grant as well, so their front court's going to be rather thin. So if you think Mitchell Robinson can get it done, take the over. 3 out of 5 games, he's gone over 28.5. Alrighty, so there you go. Yes, the guy who hitchhikes 3 p.m. Eastern time. I will be on the Action Network, and I think we're going to try to make this an every Wednesday kind of thing. We did a couple of episodes in the previous Wednesdays where they were pre-recorded, but yeah, it'll be Eastern time going forward. So just scrolling through here, seeing what other picks you guys are liking, and then we'll get you up out of here. David saying, I'm also feeling Morris over first half points, 10 in 3. 10 points in 3 of 4 games versus Boston as a Clipper. He's also on a heater overall. Yeah, we liked Marcus Morris for full game points. That looked like a pretty good look. Yayo Peso saying Trae Young under fantasy score. Let's go find him here. He's at 52. Sheesh, that's a high number. 52. He's covered this, though, in 3 out of 5, so he could definitely get it done. He's averaging just under 50 fantasy points per game in his last 5 games. I got Trae Young at 51.9 fantasy points. It's going to be a nail biter, guys. He's a 92 rated fantasy play today. So that's a pretty high rating. But he had just 41.7 fantasy points against this same Chicago Bulls team just 1 game ago. So it could be a bounce back, but I don't mind you taking the under there either based on what we just saw. Nick wants to know, have I looked at Frank Jackson's points? I have not. I did see him up there, but I have not considered any Frank Jackson. 18.5. Man, that seems high. Is this? I almost called him a bum, y'all. I almost said, is this bum going to score 19 points tonight? That was wrong. Frank Jackson, I apologize. I hope you don't watch this show. Frank Jackson, though, 18.5 points. Am I crazy or is that kind of high? I know he's going to be in a bigger role tonight. He scored 19 against Miami, 2 games back, 17 against San Antonio. He's going up against the Knicks tonight. The Knicks. What will the Knicks have in store for Frank Jackson? Are they going to clamp this kid or what? I've got Frank Jackson at 19.1 points. Man, they like him to go over, huh? Seeing some slight action on the under at 18.5 points. I mean, hold your nose and click the over, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I'm staying away from that one. Vucevic prop. His 3-pointers. Is he up on the board? No, we don't have Nikola Vucevic up on PrizePicks, unfortunately. But you love the over at 1.5, but not at 2.5. Well, let's see if I have a projection on Nikola Vucevic for you. I got him projected for 2.2 3-point makes. He's a minus 195 to go under 2.5. Sheesh, that's high. Scrolling through here, Zach LaVine over 5.5 assists. You like that too? Do you like Zach LaVine's assists more or do you like his points more though? That's the question. His points are looking very good. His assists the last 5 games also looking pretty strong though. 80% hit rate in the last 5 games, averaging 7.2. He dropped 9 dimes on the Hawks the last time these two teams met. Let's pull up a Zach LaVine prop. For his assists, 4.8. That would put him under 5.5, but we're seeing 2 different books where they're taking the over at 5.5. But yes, hard not to like everything about Zach LaVine tonight. Derek says, what's up, CJ? Hope the weather's nicer in Florida than it is up here in Massachusetts. Look, I got a big old window in front of me right now, and the skies are blue, very few clouds, and it's not too hot, so I cannot complain. Can't complain. Austin says, I'm going to put my faith on you and the Action Network today. Listen, you give us a shot. I mean, you could tune in. Maybe you like what we're talking about. Maybe you don't. We'll wait and see. I don't even know what my picks are going to be yet. I got to get off of here and dig in a little bit deeper. Dang, Alexander left me a peach sticker. Whoo, that peach is looking juicy, boy. Thanks for sharing that. Appreciate that little sticker there, my friend. Tony says, see you later at Discord. All right, Hawks fan, let's get this bread. Love it, love it. Mike Conley under 6.5 assists. Yep, we talked about that one. Jimmy better late than never. I agree with you. Rough night last night. That's all right, man. We're gonna have some rough nights. That's why we can't go all in on any given night. You know, we got to pace ourselves here. Been following for a while now. New to betting. Great stuff. Thank you so much, GMB. Dorian Finney-Smith over on fantasy points. Yeah, Dorian Finney-Smith's probably going to be in play with all of the injuries to the Dallas Mavericks. Let's pull up Finney-Smith for you real quick. We'll try to wrap this thing up. Got him at 26.3 projected fantasy points. Where is he at on PrizePicks? It's probably going to be a pretty close number to that, huh? 28 on PrizePicks. 28 on PrizePicks. But he's covered in 3 out of his last 5 games. 60% hit rate on Dorian Finney-Smith. Gordon Hayward under 18.5 points. Mike, you're liking Gordon Hayward to score less than 18.5 points. Going up against Indy. He's only covered this prop once out of the last 5 games. All right. Listen, we don't talk a lot about unders here, but this could be one to consider, guys. Could be one to consider. Let's go ahead, type in Hayward's name. I got him projected for 17 on the action projections. 3 different books. All 3 have action going under the 18.5 marker. So I don't mind you taking the under on some Gordon Hayward points. Could be a good look. Alexander says, you're the GOAT. Hey, I appreciate you, Alexander. I wouldn't say all that. I'm just a guy out here trying to help some folks. Just trying to help some folks. And if you want even more help, that's where, you know, the Patreon and all that stuff comes into play. Yeah, being brisk, we talked about some Robert Williams rebounds. I think they're in play, but we want to be somewhat careful because Al Horford is back in the mix. But can't deny Robert Williams' hit rate on those rebounds has been pretty great here lately. Rel says PrizePicks is undergoing maintenance. I did not know that. What are they doing? What are they maintaining? Yes, Jack, we like some DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine points tonight against the Atlanta Hawks. Both good looks. Isaac says, I appreciate your analysis. LaVine's points I like more than his assists. I kind of agree with you, especially those first half points on Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine's in play for first half and full game. All right, folks, I think that's going to be it. Looks like things are kind of winding down. Actually, I'll take Pavel's last one here. Last one. If you haven't dropped a like yet, guys, you know, I appreciate the likes so much. That's your, you know, biggest way to say thank you is dropping a like on this video. But let's look at Damian Lillard real quick, and then I will get out of here. No man left behind. No man left behind here, Mr. Pavel. 49 is what I got him projected for. So they like him to go over versus Utah today. They like the over on Damian Lillard. All right. Appreciate you, folks. I'm going to get out of here. Good luck tonight if you're playing on PrizePicks. If you're a member of Patreon and Discord, I will see you there. And if you're not, you can catch me at 3 p.m. Eastern Time over on the Action Network's YouTube channel. Both me and my man Dan Titus will do our own little PrizePicks show there. Hopefully we find some winning picks over there this afternoon. All right, guys, we'll catch you tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, right back here. Have a good one. Peace.